The other guy goes up to him and shoots him in both kneecaps. Said, I told you to stop with me, dropped the gun and walked away.
As he continues his run for president with the help of the legacy media, Stephen A. Smith rolled out his newest round of made-up stories about his early life in his new interview with Graham Bensinger.
I've seen a couple people get gunned down. I've seen a couple people get killed. I've seen somebody get shot. I remember one time one of the guys that I grew up with, I wouldn't say that he was a close friend, but we knew one another. He was joking around, arguing with this guy, and they were making jokes towards one another about each other's mother, who could tell the best jokes or whatever. And this one guy got the better of the other guy. The other guy goes up to him and shoots him in both kneecaps. Said, I told you to stop with me, dropped the gun and walked away. That's the kind of stuff that I grew up seeing. You know, I grew up seeing, one of my boys gunned down in a nightclub. Guy walked up to him, blew his head off. Just because he didn't like him.
Stephen A. Smith has never mentioned any of these stories one time. He's been on television for 25 years. He's been on a puff piece interview tour ever since the 2024 election, and he even put out a full life story memoir, but yet none of these stories about him supposedly witnessing all of these killings have ever been mentioned one time. But now that the handlers who are handling his presidential campaign think that his image is not hard enough for the culture, they're having him tell all these stories, and they're having him and Graham Bensinger make sure you know that he ain't no snitch.
And what do you do when you're in that situation?
Well, unfortunately, you don't like to say these things, but you know what? You keep your mouth shut.
He then transitioned into another news story that he's never told before about how hard he had it growing up, where he said that he lived in a house where, think about this for a second, there were 13 people and one working bathroom.
So there were times where we had 11, 12, 13 people in the house with one working bathroom and all of that stuff.
This next clip is the most amazing part of the whole interview because Stephen A. Smith starts off by saying that he grew up relatively poor, and then Graham Bensinger cuts him off and says, well, hot water and heat were scarce for you. And Stephen A. Smith goes, actually, yeah, we didn't have hot water, heat, electricity, food, and there were rats and roaches everywhere.
And truth be told, we didn't like it because of the congestion, but we dealt with it. We were relatively poor, obviously, growing up.
Hot water and heat were scarce at
Hot
times.
water, heat, electricity, food, definitely, the whole bit. So, we grew up, rats and roaches, all of that stuff.
Is it fair to say that being relatively poor is a little bit different than not having hot water and electricity and living with rats and roaches? Also, I just want to say, screw Graham Bensinger. So fake, so phony, so manufactured, so much big money behind him to buy all these big interviews, and then he's always pushing some agenda, and his face is annoying, and his voice is annoying. On the other side of the coin, Jason Whitlock has been absolutely killing it, exposing the pathological lies of Stephen A. Smith. I actually think what Jason Whitlock's doing with Stephen A. Smith is almost equivalent to what Candace Owens has been doing, exposing the pathological lies of Erica Kirk. So never forget, Stephen A. Smith lied about his entire college basketball career. Check out my video where I break down that whole fiasco. Subscribe to the Matthews Report, turn on notifications, and check back for more reports. I'll see you again soon.